Good afternoon, everyone. I guess it's evening, maybe by the time you see this. I am so glad to be here. If you are joining us for the first time, I am Melissa MacLeod from the Holmes Floss, and I am part of the Pointing It Out podcast team. And normally I would be sitting here with Megan, but we are currently at Megan's fabulous, incredible shop, the Needlepoint Clubhouse in St. Louis, Missouri. And it is the Pointing It Out podcast weekend. So, so today with me, instead of Megan at the beginning, again, don't you worry, is Liz Wakefield. And I'll let Liz introduce herself.
I'm Liz. I'm usually only on a half an hour a week for Liz's Whips, Tips, and Tricks. And I work at the Wool and the Floss with Melissa in Michigan. And she asked me to kick this off with her because we're talking about friendships that started over stitching or needlepoint.
True. So I hope that many of you have had the fabulous opportunity I've had in my stitching life to make so many good friends through stitching. And so today I thought we would celebrate those friendships. And Liz, ironically, we were talking this morning. She started laughing. I said, well, you know, you and I actually met when I was in St. Louis. And she's like, about. Don't you remember? Kaylee, my daughter, was at school at WashU, and I was working at the Wool and the Floss. And I called and expecting my owner to answer the phone. And instead, this voice answers.
Yeah, Jean just gave me the phone and said, go ahead, answer. So I said, like, hello, it's the Wool and the Floss. This is Liz. And she just went,
I'm like,
I work there. Who are you?
So not only did Jean like hire a new person, which was fabulous, but she didn't tell anyone that worked there. So when I'm out of town and I call and Liz answers the phone, this unknown voice answers the phone. It's a little put off, but it obviously worked
She
out.
likes things organized and in order, and that was not how it was at that time.
But the big thing is, Liz was hired in October of 2016.
Yeah.
I bought the shop from my old owner, Jean, in February of 2017. And Liz was inherited. I got this with me. And at that point in time, Liz was only a knitter.
Yeah, I was a knitter, a little crochet, but no, I'd never needle pointed a stitch painted canvas. You know, it was very foreign to me. I was still learning the threads, I bet, at that point. I remember I would ask, will you walk me around and tell me what goes where and how you use this and how you use that? I was very, very green, shall we say.
So bottom line is here we are years later, 6 years later.
Almost 7.
And not only does Liz work with me, but I consider her one of my very dear friends and rely on her as a friend as well as a staff member. And if it weren't for Needlepoint,
no, we would not. We would not. We don't have, our kids are much different ages. We would not have
much different ages. Let's be honest.
Not far. I'll say we're a little bit apart in age, but we didn't have a commonality that would have connected us in any other way than this. So it's awesome. You never know what you're going to get. We are.
Yeah, so we do this live and proud at the podcast retreat. We, of course, are recording this and we will drop it later on.
Yes.
But if you watched us for any length of time, you know we don't edit anything. So just take a little fly on this. So we absolutely love this retreat. I bring Liz along most times. I brought Kaylee along once. I like to have a partner in crime wherever I go. So she's been very gracious to join me. And it's really fun. When we have the podcast retreat in Detroit, it is also fun, but it's a lot of work. When we show up here, like we get to meet everybody, we get to eat, the food just poof shows up, like everything's easy peasy and I'm stitching it.
Yeah, I have been stitching, shockingly. I started something brand new. And if you know anything about me, starteritis is real. I love to start something new. So yeah, I mean, meeting all these people in real life is always amazing because we're already all connected by a mutual love. And to then see people's real faces, not just what you see on the internet, is even more special and endearing to make that connection. It's just awesome. And there's a couple people here that were here last time. So it's like really you know, it's like a little reunion.
And it's surprising because we do this as a lottery, so you never know who's going to be here. But somehow, some people, I guess, should be playing the real lottery because they've
Yeah.
times. But the other really great thing about this group is that there are a number of people here that are very good friends, and they, like Liz and I, are only friends because of stitching. Stitching is either what brought them together or what has been the glue that's kept them together. So I just thought we'd bring in some people, talk a little about that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people tell us that just putting ourselves out there is inspiring to them. But what's really inspiring in any creative field is that community. So I think they're going to kind of let you in on that community that they have found through stitching. And really a lot of the, I see these as lifelong friendships. Some of these, I mean, many of these women they're traveling together, they're stitching together, they're inspiring each other. So it's really cool.
And I will ask you, or maybe suggest to you, you stay until the end. Megan's going to pop on here with me at the end, and we're going to announce the details of the next podcast retreat, which will be in Detroit. And we also have some other really, really, really exciting, at least to us, podcast
Very
news.
exciting news.
Well, yeah.
Big news.
So stay with us till the end, but I'm going to pause and we're going to find our next guest.
Yes.
Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, so we are back, and I have, sorry, am I allowed to say my favorites? I always feel bad, but a lot of favorites. So two of my favorite stitchers here with me, Chris from North Carolina and Janet, who's actually just outside of Detroit. And they have a really nice, special friendship, I would say. And I'm just going to pat myself on the back right here. There we go. Now you guys can see me. Pointing at a podcast last year, right? May
20.
May of 22. So the first time in Detroit, which was May of 22, I think that's right. Yes. I intentionally put them at the same table together because I'm like, I love both these gals and I think they're going to really enjoy each other. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was the first retreat I ever went to, and I'm very much an introvert and was very nervous to go. And I even had to be pushed out of the house a little by my husband to get on the plane.
And I think you told me some of that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that when you came, you were really comfortable.
But when I sat down at my table and met Janet in person, we had talked online, but I met Janet in person. She was the nicest person, and her friend, best friend, Shelly, was next to her, who is just as lovely. And they made me feel so comfortable and so welcomed that now I'm going to all the retreats with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where else have you guys been, Janet?
We were we were here last in March, and we did the Rainbow Wall retreat with Shelley and Terry,
My friend
the
Terry.
Terry
Yes.
Brown. We got to get all our enabler names in there. Shout out to those guys. And we did that retreat, and then Chris came to Detroit, or to Google the Floss in September for the kids retreat. So she stayed with me, and
So here we are, like stitching brought them together. And like I said, in this case, the podcast retreat brought them together, but now they're traveling together and staying at each other's houses. And you all, we talked earlier that Liz and I are not the same age. Our kids are not the same age. And you guys are the same situation. Like your kids are a lot younger than Janet's, and you're kind of in technically different phases of life, but it doesn't matter. Like stitching has brought us all together.
It doesn't matter. We rely on each other for sharing projects and sharing ideas and stitch suggestions, and it's grown to so much more from Needlepoint.
we text every day. We do FaceTime. She calls. She goes, "Got a few minutes?" I helped her de-stash one day. It took a couple hours to walk. It was very fascinating to see Chris's stash. Made me feel really good about mine.
It's really big.
I love it. But you both have excellent taste in canvas, and I must say. So, well, awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of the weekend. We had the pleasure of having dinner together last night. It was really fun. So, even though I get to see Janet all the time, I don't get to see Chris. And so we just had a great evening last night too.
And thank you for putting us together.
Yeah, thank you,
This
Melissa.
would not have happened without you.
Well, it literally makes my heart sing. So. Okay, guys, it's getting really loud in here, so I hope everyone can hear us. I am back with Debbie and Jill. And I felt like I knew Debbie when I got here. I have been stitching every day since July 1st, right? And she's my biggest cheerleader. Like every day I went on and she's like, oh. So that's been really sweet. So I appreciate that. And I had Jill until this weekend. But I think a special stitching relationship as well. So
Well, we've been friends for over 35 years. We worked together, got real close. Southern Californians, then moved to Arizona. And when we retired, Jill was kind of my muse to get me back interested in just handiwork and helped me with some of the issues I was having with my vision. And because of her, now she helped me do my needlepoint, and now she needlepoints too.
Right, because I was a cross stitcher for 45 years and Debbie thought I needed another craft. Now, how many of you out there need one more craft?
I love it. I love it. So when did you start stitching?
Less than a year ago. So needlepointed less than a year, but 45 years ago.
That's what I meant. You know, the stitch thing.
No. 4-H, how many out there 4-H in school and elementary school?
So Debbie was your stitching inspiration.
For needlepoint, absolutely. She says, oh no, you'll love it. There's so many threads and so many charts, and
I introduced her to Pointing It Out podcast as well as the Will and the Floss in St. Louis. We do live in the true literal needlepoint desert. So,
literally and figuratively.
so everything we get from y'all.
Yep.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. And have you spent any time in St. Louis? Did you say you used to live here many moons ago?
50 years ago, I went to college in Columbia.
Yep, and both of us had been here over the last number of years. I had come here for more. So we thought we'd add one more day just to be able to see all the cool things that are here. So we spent our first day here, not stitching, but going and seeing all the fun things. So
So where did you go? I think St. Louis is such an underappreciated city.
it really is.
As a college here, so I
Nice.
love it. Love it.
Well, we started with, well, first we had to come here and make sure we knew where we were going. And so we had to come and make sure we knew. And then we did the St. Louis Arch, which was very interesting. It is the Floss National Park and higher than most monuments in the United States. So that was very
Did you
interesting.
go all the way? to the
We
top?
did and looked out and saw everything up there. It was a very cool thing. Totally worth it. But yeah, the youngest, also one of the youngest parks. It was just on National Park in 2018. They found it. So,
But then we went to the Budweiser tour, the Beer Master tour, and
So fun.
it was very fun and it was amazing, even if you're not a big beer drinker. The fact that they have been in existence since 1891 and really are such a huge part of this community and all of the things they do for the community, how they survived prohibition and that kind of stuff. It was really, really very cool.
they give you free beer.
What's wrong with it?
You know what I love when I come to St. Louis? Is I think everybody knows I'm a Bud Light drinker. I'm gluten free, but
Exactly.
we can always get a Bud Light.
That's right. And their special one that is only made here is Budweiser Select. So of course we had to sample that, maybe more than once. I would say.
And then we went to dinner on the hill, fabulous Italian dinner. And but to get here and meet all the people that you admire in the lives and on their on the podcast is a fabulous experience.
It really is. It's awesome.
Love that you brought a new needle pointer into the world, Debbie. Thank you for that. Jill's her creative muse. I think I heard earlier, so I love that.
Yeah, and the words that you just have to have in your mind, add to cart. That's all you need to know.
Music tonight.
There you go.
Okay, we are back with two more fabulous retreaters. So we have Trisha and Donna here. And I've met them in person for the first time this weekend, so we're so glad to be here.
Thank you.
And sadly, you guys were supposed to be a set of 4, right?
Yep.
So I know that you all told me kind of a really cool story about how you two met and became friends. And then maybe we'll dabble into your poor friends. Who are here. So anyway, so who wants to start?
I will start. Trish and I, 2 years ago, went to a friend's birthday party. We had never met. We went to the bar to get a cocktail. We both ordered Cosmopolitan. So we looked at each other and said, oh, we both want Cosmopolitan. Somehow in the next 5 minutes, we figured out that we both Needlepoint. And that was it.
Yeah.
We were off and running.
So I gotta ask, like, how do you meet someone like just getting a drink at Needlepoint?
We have no idea.
have no idea.
We have
I'm very
no-
new to Needlepoint,
Yeah.
and she had,
Yeah, I had quite a stash, but I like to say that when I met Tricia, she probably had 5 canvases. And now I think you probably have.
We don't actually talk about that. It's how much
Poor
you're
taste,
way-
poor taste. Oh my gosh, but I would like to say that my friend Jennifer Dawkins has tried for 4 years to get us into the lottery for this retreat. And she tried and tried and tried. And this year, the 4 of us, our other friend Elizabeth Bellengraf, we got in. And we were so excited, and we named our little text group, and we shared what we were gonna bring, and this was 3 months ago, whatever the lottery came out. And Jennifer found out that she had to go to a corporate event. She couldn't miss it. I think she wanted to quit her job, and her husband said, no, we need healthcare.
I hate it in real life.
It was so sad. Patricia and I decided that we would come and represent our groups. And we're so happy to be here.
we've met lovely ladies at our table and from Savannah and.
We're gonna get together with them, Stitch.
So when you first met, you obviously said, what's that? I'm sorry.
2 years ago.
And how frequently do you guys see each other now?
Well, we look,
We're in the same neighborhood, Donna's, Winchester. So, it's- yeah, so it's been great. So when she's in town, we get together.
A lot.
Oh,
a
I love it.
lot.
So if it weren't for Needlepoint, you guys wouldn't be friends, and it sounds like you very much enjoy each other's
Yeah.
company.
Yes, they do.
very much so.
Yep, we're coming back.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
Find this. And we're back. So I may have saved one of the best stories for last, and I've already patted myself on the back once. I'm gonna pat myself on the back second time. Because these 3 lovely gals, we have Bev, we have Juliana and Mary, and they all met at the last Pointing It Out retreat, which is in Detroit, right?
That's right.
Just 6 months ago.
Right.
And they had never met each other before. Had you guys even like connected on
Never.
Instagram?
No.
Zero communication.
No.
And I'm not even sure what happened. All I know is I arrived and they tell me they've been traveling together for 2 weeks straight.
That's correct.
So I'm like, what? So who wants to say how this whole business was born?
Well, we actually then reconnected in July,
Right.
right here at the Clubhouse.
So there we go.
At the beach, yes. at
So
the
you all
beach.
3 were here for that one?
We were,
as well?
yes, yes.
And then we went and decided we tried to get in here. We got in here.
Can I ask one question? Was the beat the heat an accident or was that on purpose?
Accident.
Well, Mary and Juliana, they were coming together and then I called them. It was the accident.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the third wheel.
Child is usually the
Yeah,
accident.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's me.
So
To get into this one and we got in. We decided we wanted to go to Nashville. And so I said, okay, I will drive to St. Louis and then Nashville. Take you guys up at the airport. Our tour guide got us into some activities.
Okay.
And the rest of the time, Juliana and I have spent the night in the same room.
Yes.
Same bed, but it was
up there.
Yeah.
But and then Bex staying home. We have gotten to know each other
Oh, my gosh.
too well
Yes, yes.
because we've talked about everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And
Because you're from Kansas City.
I am from Kansas
And
City.
you have a split personality.
Yes, I live in Nantucket and Vero Beach, Florida.
And
Now I'm in Naples, Florida, originally from Michigan.
so 2
Yeah.
different sides of Florida,
Yes.
just for the record. Yeah.
So we just driven past, I drove them all over Nashville.
Yeah.
5 hours
Oh my
to
gosh.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Just hung out in the Needlepoint stores. And you know what? I am these two. I couldn't.
We're
go anywhere else.
sisters now.
We were brought together for a reason.
Yeah.
And it was needlepoint, and we've needlepointed every day and every night
Yes.
in
And
someone's
we,
room.
and we
Yes.
talk about it and we think about it, and it's just a wonderful friendship because we met over something that's so healthy and creative. And it's so hard to meet really close friends at our ages. And we bonded. And to be honest, I live on the East Coast. I had never even been to the Midwest except for Chicago once.
And when I and going to Michigan.
There's Canada and Chicago. But it's just blossomed into a wonderful best friendship. And we're so very lucky.
And we were not at the same table in May either. We actually met at breakfast in the hotel
Yes.
and then just talked then. So yes, and we
And
just
the other thing, our connection is that I live on Nantucket in the summer. Beth goes to Nantucket in the summer, and her rental is right around the corner from my
yes,
house.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
And we watch your lives all the time on Instagram
Yeah.
together.
Oh, we do, yes, and we
We say hello to each other. It's probably so annoying to you.
yeah.
Oh,
So
you guys are awesome. And what have you done in St. Louis? Have you done anything?
Eat and stitch.
eat and stay.
Great food.
Yes, we've had wonderful recommendations from the ladies here. What do they call them? The Clubhouse stitchettes? I don't know.
I don't know. If they're called-
Clubhouse apps, but whatever. They've
Clubbies.
given us, they have directed us in the correct way, and
Yeah.
it's just been, well, we've been here, every day from opening to.
Close,
it's time to
but it's a
leave, but
very
yeah.
friendly city
Yeah,
and there's so
been great.
much to do and see. And, we had just dedicated these 2 weeks out of our calendar to stitch, to hang out, to come here to the clubhouse and to really enjoy each other. So
But we
On Monday, it's gonna be very sad.
it's
Guys are like, it's not re-entry. Yeah. you
it's
have
called
friendship as well.
separation.
anxiety, but I also want to say that the Clubhouse and the Wool and the Floss are so welcoming. Both staffs are absolutely incredible on the phone, in person,
Finishing everything.
whatever the situation is, they are fabulous. And we're most appreciative of that.
And this also, these pointed out retreats are just, if you get
Oh my
in,
gosh.
go. It's so worth every penny, travel,
We
wherever
can't-
you are, just go because they're so wonderful.
We can't say enough about that. There's no judging on your needlepoint.
None.
You can do your first stitch here ever.
Yes.
You would be welcomed and encouraged and could find best
Yeah.
friends.
And this particular episode, we're talking about the friendships that Needlepoint has created. But I also, in terms of future retreats, really encourage people to come by themselves.
I did my first time.
And so did I.
Yeah.
You came by yourself. That has another very dear friend named Anne, who's also here, but she hasn't been part of the 2 week.
No, she hasn't. No, no.
Musketeers.
She is fabulous as well. So they came as friends already, but coming by yourself, look at what can happen.
I know, it's such a gift. Such a
It is,
gift.
which I did in July. I signed up by myself, not knowing who would be here, and I saw a lot of familiar and of course very friendly faces. So it was great.
It's a wonderful time after COVID when we've all been so isolated to actually be able to come together as a community and work together and to have a creative outlet and to get to know, frankly, to get to know you guys, both Melissa and Megan and their staff, which is just great to be able to interact with them personally.
As Julie mentioned to each other earlier, she lives in Vero Beach. I will be down in Vero Beach for Thanksgiving, so we've already set up a stitching date. And again,
Absolutely.
we are friends of each other. Point.
So I want to say one more thing. I went to the KISS retreat at the Wool and the Floss in September. That was actually a 3-week trip for me. Bookend. This is my 6th retreat since May, and my 7th will be in December.
We need to do an intervention.
But I saw people there. Ann Murphy was with me at the one in September at the Woman Floss. And so we saw people that we had met the first time in May. And I met people who are going to be at this retreat, which was really fun because I saw familiar faces, and it's really fun to reconnect. And
Stitchers are special.
they
Yes.
they really are. Yes, yes.
The conversations that everybody has. Just at the tables today, it's just, what do you do? What are you stitching on? What do you buy? It's just amazing. And it just puts a sparkle in my heart to know that there's other women out there. And
Men, yeah,
Special men.
yeah, and talented.
Steven, they're out there talking to you, friend. Yeah, there's a lot of really great gentlemen who stitch it. Just have at this retreat, it's all.
Yeah. It's a very happy place to be. Everybody really is happy, except for when they're frogging, taking out.
Yeah, because maybe there might be too much.
That's
time.
when you cry.
That's the thing going on.
But
To join me, thank you so much.
thank you, Melissa. Yes, thank you. Bye.
Okay, so now we are back, and you might not recognize this incognito girl, but of course, this is Lauren from the Clubhouse, and Liz is back again. And it wasn't until about 10 minutes ago, Lauren said, "Oh yeah, why don't we talk about how Liz and I know each other?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a fabulous story." I'm gonna give you guys a little backstory though. Because my friend Terry, who I've talked about, I think at the beginning, did I talk to her at the beginning?
I think so.
Conned me into being in this new thing. This was a few years
Oh,
ago.
yeah, that's
This
how I
is like-
joined
it
it.
was
You're right.
Pre-COVID, I think.
Yeah, so so there's suddenly this new Stitch Club ornament exchange. So Terry's like, "Come on, we have to do this," and I'm like, "Oh, me stitch for a reason? Okay, yeah, I'm in." So then I sign up, and Terry signs up, and then I see Liz at work, and I'm like, "So Liz, you got to do this thing. You do the Stitch ornament exchange. It was really, really, really fun." So basically, the idea being you throw your names into a hat. It was the Stitch Club official at the time. I'm not sure how they do it currently.
I don't know. It was a blind date.
Out of touch.
There's
And
a few
then-
people that knew it, that do it now, but I think it's basically the same idea. It's like,
So
yeah.
you get thrown into a ring, they match you up. You don't know who you're going to get paired with. So I'm doing it now. Liz is doing it, and they kind of tell you a little bit. Like they tell you who the other person is, and you can look at their profile.
You had to
don't really
internet
know
stalk them.
You had to stalk.
You had to kind of creep on their profile to figure out what they like.
So now I've sucked Liz in. So then what happens?
Well, we got matched up.
We did. We
These
got
two did.
randomly matched up. So Liz was already a shop girl. I was not. I was just like a stitcher. I was still living in Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
So we both internet stalk each other.
And,
Yes.
you know, I saw glitter and black cats. So I had my mission. It was
Yes.
pretty easy
Yes, I
for me.
I loved Halloween and cats from day one, so that wasn't that hard.
And Liz may have gone down the Ada Hayden candy
Absolutely
route
went down.
because,
that
yeah,
road.
Halloween and black cats. Where else do you go?
Yeah.
Easy.
And I was like, it would be cute to do something, because like, again, it's like a total stranger. So it's cute to do something and get something custom painted of your family. And I don't know if I've even ever told you this, but there was a picture of, I think it was your daughter, maybe your son, like either like inside of paper towels at the grocery store, inside of.
Oh,
toilet
both of them.
Yeah.
They love to hide in the paper towels at the grocery store and have me find them, even though I was in the same aisle. But they're very
Yes.
little. They thought they were being naughty.
So I found that picture. So I almost did
Oh
that
my
picture.
God.
But then I found this picture of Liz and her whole family. So you and your husband and your kids. And I was like, this would be really cute. So I had it custom painted. I stitched it. I was like, early days of like trying, this is like truly like, I want to say 2018, 2019. I was, yeah. Like
Well,
yeah,
And so was I needed Melissa to help me. Because I was like, I don't know what to do.
yeah. So we get this exchange, we exchange. We both like love it.
I may have cried a little bit. I'm not thinking about it a lot right now because I will start.
And she cried and showed me, and I almost cried.
Yeah.
I wasn't even part of it, but it was the most just touching.
It's one of my most special possessions.
And then this was like during the phase of my life where I traveled a ton for work, and I was in Detroit for like
Yeah.
it wasn't even 12 hours. I want to say it was like truly maybe 6 to 8 hours in Detroit. And I was like, I have to like find time to like stop by the woman class. So I messaged her, I'm like, I'm gonna be there. She wasn't even working that day, but she came in and
Came
met
in to
me.
meet her.
And that was how Liz and I met.
And you like left. I remember she like walked in and she was like full leopard print, like sweet sneakers. And I was just like, oh my God. Like that's the I never met.
Yes. You guys.
So am I.
But that was it. And then
Yeah.
Liz and I became like fast friends on Instagram. And then it became what this all became. So Liz and I have actually known each other like I maybe have met Megan maybe once before that, but maybe not. Like I might
No,
have met
I think
you.
we've known each other.
Yeah.
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 Like, we've known each other longer than most of our shop teams.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
longer than Megan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Technically.
Because we do again, like I did not know 5 minutes from the clubhouse, but I did not know the clubhouse existed until another girl from Stitch Club Chicago, who was also from St. Louis, was like showing me the Emos box ornament, which was I think like right behind my head back there.
Oh yeah.
And I was
Yep.
like, oh my God, I have to stitch that. And then
Yeah.
I looked up and I called and I ordered it. And then I looked up where they were. I'm like, oh my God, like so close to where my parents live. So the next time I came home, I stopped in, but I don't know when
Yeah.
that even was.
I don't think you've been here yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you
Yeah.
came and visited us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty wild.
It is pretty
Unnamed
wild.
story. I don't know if a lot of people know that story, but
No, a lot of people don't.
yeah.
I feel the need to throw out one other thing. Because I know sometimes people watch these episodes like 6 months after they
Mhm.
happen. We are
Oh,
putting it out
yes.
retreat and it is Halloween
Yes.
weekend. So Lauren, darling, is dressed as
Yes.
the Needlepoint Police, which
Yes.
is
And she is.
complete irony because
Yes.
she's like, whatever, just have fun. This
Yes.
might be how you want to do it, but you do.
Yeah.
So,
Therein lies the joke, is that's
The irony.
that I'm not Needlepoint Police. So this
Yeah.
is therefore a costume. Thank you for mentioning that so
Yes.
people don't think I'm crazy.
well, in 6 months from now, it's a lot
Yeah. If you
calendar
if you
context.
pull this up in July, you might really think we're crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I'll
we are.
fast forward.
Yeah.
Creatively crazy.
I love it.
Awesome.
That's the origin story.
I'm
Love
gonna be
it.
back with my needlepoint bestie, in just a couple minutes. So we are back.
Recording in progress. I love it.
The last needlepoint friendship story of the day. And I know we've had like episodes where we've talked about this, but it's been a long time.
It has
we've
been a
gotten
while.
a lot of questions this weekend, like how did you two get to be
And
friends?
we actually sussed it out a little bit more the other day. So Melissa bought her shop, we determined, in
February 2017.
17. I bought my shop in September of 17, but I had started working for the Needlepoint Clubhouse a little before that. So I don't know if it was maybe even a year before that, probably. Actually, yes, I think it was about 6 months to a year.
I bet it was
Either way.
the fall of that year that we met.
Okay.
Fall of
So
2017.
Melissa was coming in town to visit Haley.
Haley, my
At
daughter
WashU.
went to WashU.
And I remember meeting you, or at least I remember the class you were at. But I
So-
think I was working at the Needlepoint Clubhouse and I didn't own the Needlepoint.
So this is the story, you have a kid in college and you need to go and visit them. But you really want your life to be all about needlepoint. So I would like every few months do a little internet research. Like there's a few needlepoint shops. Actually, now I think you're down to 2, but I think when she was here, there were 4.
I think you're
needlepoint shops.
exactly right. Yes.
And so I would constantly be checking out like what's going on at the needlepoint shops. And so up pops this class with Jill Rigoli teaching it. And so I'm like, it's on a Friday. I'm like, awesome. So I drove into town Thursday, went to the shop all day Friday, and then I could be the good mom visiting my daughter for the weekend.
Wait a minute. I was in that class.
Oh,
I
that's how it
was
works.
taking the class.
Okay.
And it was the first big piece, the one that I always show with the cars. That was my Jill Rigoli. That was the first class I'd ever taken. And I was in that class. That's so funny. Okay, we're
Yeah.
working this out even more.
Well, so then, so we just meet there and we chit chat a little bit, but it wasn't like we were like besties at that point in time. We just introduced ourselves. Oh, isn't that great that your daughter's here? And isn't it great that you're closer to my age than some of the other people here, even though I'm older than Megan, as I always say. And that was kind of it until October of 2017.
That's right.
And we're at market and in walks Megan with 2 other gals that I don't really recognize. I don't think they were there that day.
It may not have been, but I was there with the women who I had bought the Needlepoint Clubhouse with. They graciously didn't just drop me into the Needlepoint world. They went to market with me very shortly after I bought the shop.
Right.
Yep.
So Megan walks in and I'm like, hey, I know you. I'm not even sure if I remembered your name.
No, I know what happens. You forgot about this part. You were sitting talking to Melissa Prince.
I was. That much I
And
remember.
Melissa Prince, I only knew her name. I didn't know who she was. And I'm like deer in headlights, like these people are so famous. And you're sitting there like talking away. And we walk in to buy and you're like, hey, no, you. And I'm like, wait, no, you don't know me. You know that woman you're sitting next. Like, why would you know me? Anyway, you recognized me, which was very sweet. And then we kind of both determined that we were new shop owners and kind of, I think we must have exchanged phone numbers then.
I think you were brilliant from the start, let's be honest. And I think you very quietly said to me, I bought all the inventory for this shop and I really need to like turn over some of it. And I was a new shop owner and bought all my old owner's inventory, which was both really great inventory. It's just it had both hung out on our walls for too long.
Stylots were old or, some of the thread had sort of had new generations or new, like.
Yeah, like, was that canvas trade?
Oh.
Yeah, so there's this thing in retail where they say like,
Oh.
nothing in your shop should have a birthday. So we both own some
Yes.
really great canvases, but they've had a few too many birthdays.
You're exactly right about that.
So you were the brilliant one who said, well, we both have some really great merchandise that our current customers, but this was before COVID. People weren't online.
I didn't have an active website.
Yeah. Yours was
I didn't have a
shoppable.
lot of Instagram presence or Facebook presence or anything at the time.
So she said, let's trade some canvases and do like a little trunk show trade. I'm like,
Right.
it's so brilliant. So
That's
that
right.
was kind of the beginning of our business relationship.
You're right. That's exactly right. I totally forgot about that. And then we just sort of kind of kept in touch and then COVID happened and
And we became like completely dependent on each other during COVID, which we're not going to talk about because we've talked about it a lot this weekend, but
that's exactly right.
we got each other through and here we are.
That's exactly right. And so,
Yeah, so we
yes.
met in St. Louis. I have mentioned earlier on this podcast, I think St. Louis is the most underappreciated city. There's so many fabulous neighborhoods. Megan's in Kirkwood. Her shop is in Kirkwood. I've been to Webster Grove with my daughter. I've been to the Central West End. I've been to, where else have I been with her? So many places. Tower Grove, is that a place?
Yes.
Do I have my names right?
You do. You have gotten around St. Louis more than I have, at least in the recent.
Oh my gosh. So
Recently.
yeah, every time I came to visit Kaylee, she's like, well, there's this other neighborhood I think we should go to. And I'm like, wait. So I think it was senior year when she finally said, oh, did you mention Jenny's? You know, there's a Jenny's here.
Oh,
To ring her neck, because you guys know I love my
ice cream girl. That's right.
Central West End, I think.
That is. And I think it might still be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't get it. I like live in a bubble.
Well, don't we all? Don't we all? So St. Louis is fabulous. This podcast retreat has been fabulous. As I mentioned at the beginning, I just get to show up and like enjoy. They do all the work. Then when Megan comes to Detroit, it's the flip version. So it's really fun being the guest, and her staff has been outstanding.
Thank you.
Everything has been beautiful. There's just,
And
it's great.
to be honest, I don't do a lot of this either. I do. I mean, my mom's here visiting, and on the way over to the shop, I think it was yesterday morning, she goes, so you're having dinner in the shop tomorrow night, right? And I was like, I think so. She was like,
Yeah,
well,
what's
what's for
on the
dinner?
menu?
And I was like, I don't know. She's like, you don't know? And I was like, no, I just like trust to let these people do their job. So
Wow.
anyway,
They have
it's been
fabulous.
they do,
fabulous team.
everybody here does an amazing job. And this is just really fun. It's, I'm just going to make a quick, I bet there's about 75% of the people here I've never met before.
Yeah.
Like there's
A lot of
a
new faces.
couple of faces I've seen before, a couple have been at other retreats, or I've been to some class, like I've been to Charlotte and stuff, but there's a lot of people here that I've never met before. And I knew their names, or they'd walk in and say, I'm this person. You're like, oh, you did that yesterday too. It was just as per usual, magic is happening. And I hope that, I know that the premise of this was, who have you met around Needlepoint? And I just really hope that some of those friendships are happening again this time.
So yeah, we've talked about like the birth of other friendships from past retreats, and I am positive that there's more of those longtime friendships that are just blooming right now.
I hope so. And I think that we're segueing into some kind of exciting news, right?
We've got two exciting things to announce. So as usual, right after the whatever retreat is today, we announce the next retreat. So the last few years, we've done the fall retreat in St. Louis and the spring retreat in Detroit. So the next podcast retreat will be in Detroit the weekend of April 19th to the 21st. It will be a little bit chilly, but let's be honest, it's a little chilly here right now.
Yeah.
And you're going to stitch, you're barely outside. So we were hoping to have it in May, but in any event, it is April 19th through 21st. So Liz and I, probably at the airport on our way home, will be putting together the social media posts and the Google Doc and all the things that have to happen. So sometime next week, I can't tell you what day, keep an eye out on the Pointing It Out podcast Instagram page. And we'll be resharing it.
I think that when we post, so I just forget how this goes, but I think when we post on Instagram on the Pointing It Out podcast account, it also posts on the Facebook, Pointing It Out podcast Facebook page.
It should be,
But
but you know
neither
what?
of us really pay a whole lot of attention to that. I'm so sorry.
I feel like the last couple times it's somehow posting to the Wool and Floss space. Why?
The point is, I always say that, and it's like no pun intended, but in any event, be following Pointing It Out podcast on Instagram, and you will receive a notification that there's a new post, and it will be a post that will encourage you to sign up for the lottery. And the lottery link will be in the bio on Instagram, and all of the instructions will be laid out for you. But we were just kind of trying to even recall, like, how does this go again? So as a reminder, just look at the Pointing It Out podcast Instagram page next week, and the Wool and the Floss will be putting up all the information about the April retreat, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it is a lottery. Everyone's like, how does this work? You throw your name in a hat. We use a random number generator, and that's how people get selected. The ideal situation would be that only 66 people want to come, because that's how much I can handle in Detroit, because we do it at a remote facility. If there's more than 66, we will do a lottery. So historically there has been, but you know, we hate to disappoint anyone. So maybe only 66 of you will apply. And then
That would be a great / kind of sad thing, because I've got more than 66 people.
you know,
that
we
wanna come.
usually have like 300 or 400 who want to come. So it's really fun for us to host these and to meet all these people and to see all these relationships happening. So the next exciting thing that we have is we were approached by a podcast consultant who was a
Needlepointer.
needlepointer who watched our podcast.
I mean, how awesome is that? That somebody said, "Hey, I watch your podcast. I happen to be a consultant about podcasts, and I'm a needlepointer." I mean, isn't that cool? It's my favorite thing.
And her name is Rebecca. She is just a little dynamo. I shouldn't say little dynamo. That sounds very demeaning. But
She's
like,
a dynamo.
she is just a dynamo through and through. And she approached us and said, "You guys are doing such great things, but I think you really need to get on the audio podcast." And we're like, "Yeah, we've been talking about that." As a matter of fact, she sent me an email literally the night before Megan and I had been saying, "We really need to figure out how to do this." And I was like, "Yeah, but we got to find somebody to hire because we don't know what we're doing."
Simply that. We probably are smart enough to have figured it out, but we simply don't have the time.
Well, it
And
would
so-
have been a lot of man hours for us to figure it out. So
And so we entered a business agreement with this dynamo woman named Rebecca.
fabulous.
She has put up with all of our lack of availability and lack of responding. And she has helped us get to a point where we are part of the Acast network, which means that we will be available on all audio podcast platforms.
I think,
Trying to think of the words.
I think that's true, but I'll list them just for kicks because I think it's really impressive. So you will be able to find us now on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on iHeartRadio, and on the Google Podcast Network.
So I think something that I want to point out that I didn't mention to you before, but we will still be broadcasting the video feed on YouTube. But we're going to work because we've been so long time on YouTube and we're able to show things. And that was one of the reasons why we started doing it on YouTube in the first place, is because this is such a tactile and a visual hobby but we're going to work really hard to be good at our descriptive terminology and hope that you are able to gain a lot out of the audio version. But if there's something that we show and we forget to describe it, or you just want to see it, you can pop over to YouTube and see it there too. So we're really delighted that we're able to bring the podcast to both these channels because it just makes us feel fancy. And guess what, guys? We got microphones.
You should see these microphones. I was going to use them today. And I said to Megan, no. Like I used it for the first time when we did our trailer and our intro and our outro. Who knew these are words? I didn't know an outro was a word, but it is. And I was intimidated by the microphone. I'm like, we can bring out the microphone to like all these podcasts or retreat.
I know. And I have imposter syndrome sometimes. I'm like, I'm not a podcaster. But so I've got like headphones on and a microphone and I look like a total dork. So it will be worth it to go to YouTube and see us in our dorkiness.
There you go.
But then please do follow us on any of the channels that you get your regular podcasting on, because we're so super, super excited to be able to.
So if you've been a YouTube watcher, nothing changes. If you want to be able to listen to us in your car on the way to work, while you're walking your dog, on your headphones, whatever, now you've got choices.
And so what I don't know, and maybe you remember, so this podcast will be the final one that is only on YouTube.
That's my understanding, but we'll have to check with Rebecca.
Well, the point of that though is that our audio isn't going to be awesome because of all the activity that's going on around us. And so we were hoping that this would just be a way for us to announce this exciting news. And then moving forward, we will be doing a better job of our audio and our headphoning and all the cool things, and we'll be moving forward. So, but the other cool thing, maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I'm just excited about this. Is that she had advised us, and we listened like good girls. She advised us she went back in sort of the archives, and she's kind of reviving a few of the older episodes from years ago that maybe have kind of gotten buried and that people haven't seen. So I'm excited to see if we reach some new people with some of those old episodes.
And it's not just a few, it's like 15.
Is that right?
Yeah, because we have like 60 or so episodes out there. So she's taken 15 of them and pulled them over onto these audios. They're not quite loaded yet, but if you could all do us a favor and hop on over to your favorite podcast platform, you can either search, I did it this morning. I pushed my Apple Podcast, but that's where I happen to listen to things. And I searched Needlepoint. And we were like the 5th choice. And I'll be honest, some of the others were really cross-stitched. So, that's okay.
Hey.
So we were the 5th pick.
What do you know?
I think if everyone starts following us, we're going to move up the food chain, which will be fun.
Out myself, I am not a podcast listener, an audio podcast listener. So if you are not, but you're interested in just checking it out, you can go again to our Instagram account page. And there in the link area, there's going to be a little drop down that will give you something that says, what did we just say? It says audio podcast channel options. And so you click on that, you go to a link tree that you can click to get the list. And so you could just click and check it out. I mean, if you're a very first time, which I will be, a first time audio podcast listener, I'm going to go on and subscribe and kind of choose my channel and kind of go that way too. So I think it's just something for us. So.
It is. We feel like we've grown up all of a sudden.
Grown up and out and all the things.
So we thank you for spending all this time with us today. If you're watching the YouTube podcast for the first time, please hit follow. That helps other Stitchers find us. Again, hop on over to the Instagram link and or your favorite podcast platform. For now, we just have a little intro, but in a couple of weeks, there'll be all sorts of choices of old podcasts to listen to, as well as a brand spanking new one. So that's it. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have lots of time to stitch this weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. And if you're watching in real time, happy Halloween weekend. So maybe you'll get some trick-or-treaters this week.
There you go.
Have a good night.